haram. Let me examine this in order that we are able to examine this sensitive but important topic. How did the Prophet Muhammad treat the disabled? As you know, the media gives the Prophet much bad publicity. It's about time someone gave him some good publicity. Yes, all the time the focus is on Muhammad the pedophile, Muhammad the man of lust, Muhammad the man of war. And sometimes people don't realize that we are part of the problem in giving him this bad image. Yes, I remember when Salman Rushdie wrote the satanic verses, they said to him, "How dare you write a book like this?" He said, "I used Bukhari and Muslim." If you want to attack, go and look in Bukhari and Muslim, see the way Bukhari and Muslim portray the Prophet Muhammad, and then attack me. As in, you look at some of our hadith literature, I really wonder, who is it that got into the milieu to write hadiths of such sort? Likewise, someone asks that this surah, Surat Abasa, when it was revealed about what? About the Prophet frowning at the blind. Could Rasulullah really do something like this? What do we mean? If you go to many Salat al-Jum'ahs in the world today, if the Khatib of the Jum'ah prayer picks Surat Abasa, it begins Abasa wa tawalla and ja'ahul a'ma. Yes, he frowned and he turned when the blind man came to him. The narration in the books of Ahlul Sunnah differs from our opinion. Our brothers in Ahlul Sunnah, what do they say? Say that the Holy Prophet was sitting with whom? He was sitting with the aristocrats of Arabia, the wealthy of Arabia. I find it interesting that straight away it's written wealthy. I think Rasulullah sees them more in terms of power than wealth. But anyway, he was sitting with Utbah bin Rabi'a and others, Al-As bin Wa'il, Walid ibn Mughira. They're all sitting down. And so while sitting down, Rasulullah was trying his hardest to make them Muslim. You see, if you can make them Muslim, you can have a big effect on the rest of society. Fundamental, Utbah bin Rabi'a is the father of Hind, the wife of Abu Sufyan. Walid ibn al-Mughira is the father of a number of sons. Of them, Khalid ibn al-Walid. Al-As bin Wa'il is the father of who? Amr ibn al-As. So you find that these people were powerful figures and powerful sons, powerful children. So Rasulullah would sit with them. Our brothers from Al-Sunnah narrate that when this blind man entered, he kept on calling out, wanted the Prophet to teach him. His name was Abdullah, the son of Maktoum. Yes? He entered, and this person later on becomes governor of Medina twice. Later on, the Prophet supposedly sees him and says, "You're the one who the Quran came down to attack me because of," like praising him. Yes? You found that this Abdullah bin Maktoum, he entered. When he entered, he's trying to call out to Rasulullah. He's blind. Doesn't know Rasulullah sitting in the middle of a meeting. So he's calling out, "Teach me, I want to learn the Quran." Rasulullah is talking to someone. There's an etiquette. If you see someone talking to someone, don't jump in. Wait for your turn. Islam wants to focus on akhlaq in every area. So the narration mentions that as soon as he walked in, you found that as soon as he walked in, he saw the Holy Prophet. And when he saw him, of course he can't see him, but he knows that he's within his vicinity. The Prophet looked at him. And he looked and he frowned and he turned his face. Why? Because the Prophet felt this man was affecting the future of the guidance of the wealthy. So the Quran came down to condemn the Prophet. Why? Because the Quran won't tell him, you care about the wealthy and you've forgotten the poor of your community. And we will mention to your whole community that you frowned at a blind man. Yes? You find, subhanallah, many of our brothers in other schools of Islam find it normal that, you know what, yes, the Prophet frowned at him. You turn around, you say, what's our opinion in the school of Ahlul Bayt? Yes, there's the odd narrator, even within the school of Ahlul Bayt. I found the odd narration where they say, so what if the Prophet frowned? The blind cannot see. Only Allah is admonishing him. No, that's not enough of an answer. Why? We believe that the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family would never, ever frown at anyone, let alone frown at the blind. Yes? You see, me and you, we're not infallible. But I guarantee you, we can live a whole life without frowning at one physically challenged person. Do you agree? As in, I'm not ma'soom. I can live a whole life. I guarantee you, if I see someone blind crossing the road with their guide dog, I'll try and help them. I'll try and look after them. Yes? And even if they bump into me, I'll never turn around and frown at them because my heart softens. How about the man who has the purest heart in the history of creation? Yes. Firstly, you find that we reject this idea because of what? Number one, because of the fact that we would never do such a thing, let alone him. Number two, he is the man who has the best akhlaq of all the creations of Allah. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to him, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. You are the one of the most sublime morals. He came to instill morals. إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. I came to do what? To perfect the most noble morals of mankind. If he himself hasn't sorted out his own morals, how's he going to perfect my morals? Yes. If he himself gets flustered because of a blind person, how are you going to build a whole nation where you have former pagans, you have animals? Yes, some of these weren't humans, yes. You have some animals there. How are you going to purify them when you're not purified? Quran said, إِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. Thirdly, the Quran says about him that he's come to purify man. So how can he come to purify man when he hasn't purified himself? Yes. In Surat Al-Jum'ah we say, هو الذي بعث بالأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم. He's come to purify mankind. I've come to purify man, but I've got the worst akhlaq with man. How does it work? It's a contradiction. Number four, the Quran says, if you want to love Allah, then follow me. Allah will love you. Yes, Rasulullah tells them, قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهُ. If you who claim that you want to love Allah, follow me. Ya Rasulullah, can I follow you as well when you frown on blind people? Because every action of yours is a sunnah. Either your words, your actions, or your silence on issues. That's your sunnah. If I see that you frown at the blind, I then will frown at the blind. And if you come to me on Qiyamah and say, I'm bad for frowning at the blind, then I'll reply back to you, but you said to me, follow me, Allah will love you. I followed you on that area. So therefore, why is Allah giving me a sin on the Day of Judgment? I want to frown at the blind. Further than that, the Quran said he has come as an uswa to mankind. Yes, an example to the whole of mankind. What type of example is frowning at the blind? Yes. I may not frown at the blind. And now the man who's come as an example to me in the world of akhlaq is frowning at the blind. Further than that, he's come as a rahmah to mankind. What rahmah is he showing to this blind person? If Allah sends a person as a mercy to mankind, can you tell me how merciful you are when you frown at the blind? I said, you are meant to be the best of people when it comes to your mercy. Further than that, Quran said people would run away from you if you were hard-hearted or severe. Quran in Surah 3 verse 159 says, وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَمْ فَضَّ مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. If you were hard-hearted or you were severe, O Muhammad, people would have run away from you. Yes. But because of your soft heart, people came to you. Yes. Therefore, you find Rasulullah's soft heart led many people to come towards him. So in the school of Ahlul Bayt, do we say that Rasulullah was rude to the disabled? No, the majority opinion is that no, it wasn't Rasulullah. Then who was it? If it's not Rasulullah, the Quran is talking about someone who was rude towards the blind. It seemed like it was a normal thing amongst the Arabs to be rude towards the blind, yes? Who was it that was rude to the blind? Imam al-Sadiq was asked this question. He was asked, who was it in that gathering who was rude towards the blind? He said, one of the men of Bani Umayyah, Ahlul Bayt. If they don't mention a person by name, then you can gather who that person could be. Yes? He said one of the people of Bani Umayyah. I remember telling someone the name of that person. Yes, there's another narration that mentions him by name. He said to me, how dare you say that person so-and-so would frown at the blind? I said to him, what do you mean? He said, how dare you disrespect one of the Sahaba of Rasulullah saying that they would frown at the blind? I said, you're worried about the Sahaba and you're not worried about the man who brought culture to the Sahaba? It's unbelievable. So someone asks, why would such hadiths come? Because if you lower the status of Muhammad, you can make up the status of others. You see, it's the best thing to do. Let me make more mistakes for him. That means when others make mistakes or others give bid'ahs, good bid'ah, bad bid'ah, yes? Then if they do make a mistake, what can you say? The man himself who brought the religion made mistakes. So if number whatever make mistakes, then so what? Rasulullah himself made mistakes. The point was what? The point was that also Rasulullah taught us a hadith, which is what? Anyone who misguides the blind, mistreats the blind, will be punished on the Day of Judgment. So therefore there's a contradiction. You are meant to be reprimanded in the Quran, but you yourself have no respect for the blind whatsoever. Never do we believe such a thing. We believe Al-Muhammad, represented by Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they are the best examples towards mankind. Their akhlaq are the akhlaq of Allah on earth. Yes? His manners were the manners of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You want to see what Allah loved in mankind? You can find it in the behavior of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family. Therefore, did the Prophet treat the blind that way? No. On the contrary, when you look at Surah 24 verse 61,